Form 7 was one of the greatest forms of lightsaber combat ever put into use. It was ferocious, vicious to whatever non-lucky soul found themselves on the receiving end. But it wasn't only dangerous to the enemy, but to the user as well. Vaapad originated from Juyo, a form known to rely heavily on grace and rage at the same time. The form Maul fought with when killing Qui-Gon Jinn. It was the hardest form to learn, relying on the user to take the offensive and willingly submit to a chaotic and erratic state of mind, giving in to their passions. This is also why Juyo was widely controversial to utilize amongst the Jedi Order. The form broke the Jedi Code in everything that it was. As for the Sith, well, they had no such problems. They heavily relied on their passion, their deepest feelings, and that is why this form, though difficult to learn, was a favorite amongst the Sith. It fit them well, as they did not have the same restrictions as the Jedi. Now, Vaapad was Juyo on a whole different level. Vaapad was not only a fighting style, it was a true state of mind. This form was one of the newest lightsaber forms known, created by Mace Windu during the late years of the Republic. Now, as explained earlier, Juyo was offensive, requiring the user to be strong and fast. Vaapad is the same, but the user had to be stronger than a Gemso practitioner and faster than an Aturu practitioner. When utilized correctly, the user would become impossible to perceive. Even other Force users would believe the combatant had multiple lightsabers from the sheer speed alone. On top of this speed and strength came a precision that was second to none. Once the duel started, it was as if a constant force slammed against the enemy from every angle, only becoming more impossible to beat. But as stated before, this was no normal fighting style. But if this form was so great, what made it so dangerous? Well, Vaapad was different from Juyo in many ways. While similar to it in many as well, Vaapad was like Juyo in the way the practitioner was required to have passion, to take pleasure in the fight and crave the victory. But unlike Juyo, the practitioner had to control these feelings, keep them in check per se. Then, while controlling their own emotion, utilize the darkness and emotions of their opponent against themselves. This form brought users extremely close to the dark side, closer than Juyo, because of the abundance of dark side traits needed to be used not only by themselves, but by their opponent. But if that explanation wasn't enough, we'll be going back to Shatterpoint, written by Matthew Stover, released in 2003. This is by far the best media with Mace Windu in it. It takes place during the Clone Wars and revolves around Mace Windu as he attempts to find and save his former Padawan, Depa Billaba. Being assigned to Harun Kal, Mace Windu's homeworld, Depa Billaba must assist the Kurane in fighting against the separatist allied Balaway in a never-ending summertime war. Now, to start this story off, we have to look at Deepa's Padawan days. She was trained by the Master of Vaapad, and during that, became a master herself. So her utilization of that will play a big part during this war. During the battle between the Republic-aided Kurane and the Separatist-aided Balaway, Deepa fought alongside her new allies, bringing a major advantage with her mastery of not only the Force, but Vaapad as well. But with each battle, each death, each victory, each loss, each kill, she began growing darker and more aggressive. The influence of Car Vaster didn't help either, as he was an individual with extreme bloodlust. The dark jungles and horror of the ongoing war eventually caught up with her, and she became insane. This insanity only grew worse though, as she continued to use Vaapad. So insane, she sent a transmission to the Chancellor that was recovered from the mouth of a fallen enemy. The transmission showed just how far she'd fallen. Reports came from the front lines of torture, killing civilians, executions of prisoners, and so much more. But what really proved she was no longer Mace Windu's fellow master and former Padawan was a quote that followed.
I know you will come for me, Mace. You should never have sent me here, and I should never have come. But what's done can never be undone. I know you think I've gone mad. I haven't. What's happened to me is worse. I've gone sane. That's why you'll come, Mace. That's why you'll have to. Because nothing is more dangerous than a Jedi who's finally sane.
As her mind became a literal shatterpoint, Mace took it upon himself to travel to Harun Kal to rescue her. Upon arrival, she'd already fallen even further. Her great mark of illumination was torn from the bone. She was sickly looking. Sometime after meeting once again, Mace found a cockpit filled with dead clone troopers, clearly killed by Deepa. At one point, Mace left her alone, and in that brief period, she killed many more clones. It was very clear now that the horrors of war in Vaapad broke her. Her mind became so broken that she even tried to act dead as a way to get the jump on Mace and kill him. using the war around him, the darkness, to overpower him. Eventually, though, Windu managed to stop the battling and take advantage of the lack of the dark power she was drawing on. Her sanity slightly coming back to her, and realizing what she'd done, she put her lightsaber to her temple, ready to end it all. But she was stopped by Windu's guide. Following this, she succumbed to her injuries and fell into a coma. The Jedi attempted to save her by placing her in Bacta. Physically, she healed, but her mind remained lost to the darkness, never to wake again, until eventually she passed away. That's all for the video. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscription. Let me know what you thought of this story. It's Legends now, but Mace Windu is still one of the top dogs of the Jedi Order. So, peace out everybody, and may the Force be with you.